Transition now. It's 8 o'clock, and welcome to episode 2 of the Untitled Goon podcast. Episode title Comedy Ethics Forgotten Subjectivity. Um, I should send you the link to the doc that talks about the topic of today, Keem.
Alright.
Speaking of which, introductions. Yeah, no, you got it. You started off.
I'm your boy Dak Ralter, Jedi Knight, otherwise known as Hakeem the Jr. Hakeem.
And it is
And
I. Yes, and it is I, the usual host, 9C Salt. But right now, I kind of have my nickname towards as the Darth Mung Doll. You know, because I had to do it to him. I had to do it to him
yeah.
as as your boy Mung. And yeah, here we are, doing this podcast again. But before we actually talk about topics, I just want to give like a movie review to start off for now. Uh, so earlier tonight, I went out to movies. So I got dragged into watching a movie with my mom and little sister. Black Christmas. In case anyone wanted to know. And to give a short synopsis on what that movie's about, it's basically a remake. I guess the third remake of the 1974 film. Well, okay, I shouldn't say it like that. It's more like the second remake of that 1974 film of the same name. But if you feel like they're not really so much as remakes and more like sequels that aren't related to each other, then you could say it's a third movie of like this specific series. But regardless, yeah, this 2019 movie of the name is basically about sorority girls being murdered by frat boys.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I think that kind of starts
The
off.
next weird social commentary.
To be well, that's kind of the thing, right?
Wait, did you say fat boys or frat
Frat,
boys?
frat, frat,
Oh, okay. I was
frat.
about to say. Never mind.
But to be honest, a lot of them kind of give off the incel kind of vibe with a lot of the motivations going on here.
Oof.
So give a synopsis. It takes place in like uh, Hawthorne College in some town in America, or at least I assume it's America. And it stars
Mm-hmm.
this college girl named Riley. But the movie starts off with this girl named Lindsay who's just walking out of the library who was got off the phone with one of her friends. Tell her, yeah, I can't make it to our little Christmas party. I promised my grandma that I'll eat breakfast early in the morning for her for the holidays. And, she was
Mm-hmm.
walking down. She was chill at first, but then she got in like DMs on some app called Yip Yap, which is basically that movie's universe's version of like Yickety Yak. So, and it's
Yik
talking on
yak.
some, yeah. Oh, Yik Yak, that was the name. I don't know why I
Yeah.
say
You just
Yickety
reminded me
Yak.
because I had forgotten for the longest what the name of that app was.
I did
Sorry, I didn't
too.
mean to cut you off.
And that's fine, to be honest. I kind of forgotten the name, technically, too. I kind of forgot all about the app in general.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah, she was beginning messages us that looked weird as fuck. And at first she thought it was like the immediate guy behind her following her, but it wasn't. It was some random hoodin dude. She was trying to run away from him into this one house, but nobody was opening up. And as many times as she tried to run away from him, you know how these slasher movies goes. Like
Mm-hmm.
the main killer always be on some supernatural speed type shit, and has like plus 100 stealth sometimes. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the usual. I'm too fast for you. I disappear. All of a sudden, she opens the door. He was in front of her. He pushes her down, grabs the icicle, and basically stabs her in the chest.
Oof.
And then the movie opens up with this girl Riley waking up. helping her out, for immediately helping out one of her friends who lost her D cup. Not,
Ooh.
I'm not, I don't know, and by letting her borrow like I guess her pad.
Mm.
Typical sorority girl stuff. She's a good friend.
Right.
She's just conversing about them, what's happening later tonight. She doesn't want to do some performance thing. Move on to a college classroom where it's a professor let's read some literature, talk about like in the men's world. It looks like an English class. He picks on her. He was like, "Yo, what do you think this is?" Like, "Oh, I guess this person talk about how the men are the top and live in this world. This is the men's world, and the women are in it,
Mm.
whether they like it or not." I guess he felt that way. Professor being immediately went like, it's not a guy, it's a female, believe it or not. And I only open this up because someone's trying to petition to get rid of me and all these books. It's just my job. I no hard feelings though, but that nigga's hurt. That English nigga was hurt. And just long story short, because the plot is kind of, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. I probably should put a spoiler alert up for this, but long story short, as it turns out, this whole movie is just a bunch of like these specific frat house who at some point during the past year, like off screen in this movie, when they decided, okay, they don't want the bust in their college, the bust of the founder of our college around in the college, so we're just gonna keep it. But oh wait, we found out that it has black demon magic in it, and essentially these boys decided to start basically a frat cult and decided to murder the biddies in the school and
This does
trying to
not
build an
sound like a
and
good
try to build
idea.
an army. Yeah. What was that?
I said that just does not sound like a good idea unless they're like all gay or something.
Nah, they're not all gay. They were just all sexist. That's the funny part. It's like they're saying that yeah, we figured out like some black magic that the founder of our college had in case like the women decided that they're people too all of a sudden, and
Really?
so and he placed it in this like this bust, and his spirit powers are pledge, and through this pledge, our supernatural speed and strength is powered by his sexism. And now we're gonna create an army and take over America so we can bring back the men's world. And at that point, especially now, at that point in the movie, it became less of a like horror thriller slasher movie like the rest of them usually are, into
Mm.
some weird ass fucking like Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino weird type movie, but not as like I don't know if I should say well written for Tarantino movies 100%,
Mm.
but I feel like it wasn't written that good. I feel like it would have been a lot better if it wasn't PG-13.
Mm.
Cause the
Oh,
other, hmm?
that's crazy that there's a PG-13 slasher nowadays.
Exactly. Oh, let me look up to in Wikipedia if it calls itself like a slasher, just to make sure I'm not giving it the wrong.
Capping.
Yeah.
Stop capping.
Let's see. Yeah, it's a slasher film.
Crazy. PG-13 slasher.
Yeah. Let me just put my phone on vibration. But yeah, it's just weird to me because I feel like this movie's writing could have benefited more if they just didn't make it PG-13.
Right.
If not improve the writing, at least improve like the action scenes where people die clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was like that was a movie. Other things I didn't really fucks with. Two of the girls that you see in the posters who look like they're about to do something powerful, they didn't do much at all. Especially
Yeah.
one of them, she just like came to the attic because two of the friends were fighting and she didn't want to be stressed out by it, so she just went up and she fucking died.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure he just the dude just jammed like it became off screen too, but she died. I guess like the dude jammed one of the tools in through her face.
Mm.
The other one, she did something before she died, but she wasn't very successful. So that left like the main character Riley, who's like one of the other of the three white girl of the friend group, and then the black friend whose name I kind of forgotten because I didn't really care about her character like that.
Damn.
Um, who was pretty much like the feminist of the group.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones who put in the most work, especially when they decided to work together to kill one of them. Because again, even though it's corny, they're still pretty fucking strong because of that fucking sexist frat boy demon magic ritual shit they had going on. Uh, and eventually they met up with the friends of the girl, that first girl who died in the beginning of the movie that I mentioned. And they all just busted in on some like final like showdown type like battle. It was like the weirdest shit. And it and you know they broke the bust that was giving them like their strength. One of the
Mm-hmm.
girls apparently like one of the other girls not who weren't part of the friend group, but there was someone they know turned out to
Mm-hmm.
be a traitor who then got betrayed by them niggas there. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as she because apparently like part of the ritual required items
Right.
of like the people that they were trying to target whose death they're trying to like set up,
Mm-hmm.
like the decuff from the one of the girls that I mentioned, like the comb that the main character had and some other items, and the trader girl Helena, who's like a second year, she saw her necklace there. She looked at me like, "What happens?" And one of us was like, "It's for the cause." And, and I'm like, yo, I don't know why you would betray your friend for a fucking frat cult of incels who are frat boys. But
That's
yeah,
actually crazy.
got fucking murked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
These hoes ain't loyal.
these hoes ain't loyal. These niggas ain't loyal.
Nope. And they actually had a
But
to be
yeah,
fair, those are the types of niggas that just don't want any type of act.
mm, yeah, but yeah, and
Crazy.
then the movie just ended with all the females just winning,
Mm-hmm.
cause you know what? Fuck it, they can
2019.
2019. I mean, I don't want to say like make it sound like they just do it because girl power and shit, but like that was part of the tone of the whole movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
Riley herself was like a victim of basically college rape, like 3 years prior to like the movie,
Mm-hmm.
because of one of the boys who was part of the frat.
Mm-hmm.
But they were butthurt about it, talking about he would never do that, man. And that's also one of the motivation of the main villains who's like, you tired of these females lying, you tired of these females everything. They're like, so they're like those fuckboys but worse, considering like as I said already, they're using black magic to power themselves on some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So they ain't something. They on something different.
That's something I could never be marking out women for no reason. That's crazy.
It is crazy. Like damn, bro. So it was entertaining. I'm willing to say that much, but I wouldn't say it's like a crazy good movie.
Okay.
But if you want to just watch it, because at the very least there were survivors, and they did kind of roll up on them niggas, like really threw hands at them. Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead. I mean, I'm not even stopping you. Just know those villains are kind of whack. and
Damn.
I'm
So what's your overall synopsis of the movie?
overall
What's the story?
synopsis, like
Yeah.
a good like 6.5.
Okay.
I feel like it's fair. It's decent, but the writing could have been better. I feel like if the writing was like a little better, I feel like the movie could have been a lot more interesting, especially with its
Okay.
plot. I feel like a lot of people, some people out there would probably be have like a different set of feelings because the
Mm.
whole movie did have a lot of tones about like feminism stuff.
Right.
I didn't, and I might. Some people will be like, "Oh,
Talking
fucking
mad dope.
SJWs on some quartering type, like, oh, these damn SJWs and their bullshit." And then some people like will like the characters. Like I feel like some people would like identify with Riley, and
Mm-hmm.
like her past trauma and like the strength she tried to show to like move past it.
Right.
Cause she wasn't like annoying about anything. She was just your average girl who ended up in like a shitty situation. But you know, she was doing fine
Mm.
until that guy decided to visit the school again.
Mm.
Uh,
So I'm guessing this is a movie that Chooks would scoff at throughout multiple points.
yeah, yeah. Especially with the black girl, since the black girl was like the actual like feminist of the group,
Okay.
and like you know, but yeah, this is definitely a movie that Chooks would scoff at a lot. And it just came out yesterday, I think. So let's see. Oh, development of the film began in June 2019. Oh, no wonder I feel like it could have been better. That shit was not.
Dang, they put that junk out in like 3 months.
That's my. See, this is what I don't like about movies that's meant for the like for the holidays. They just do that shit like in so little time. Like, okay, boys, let's get it. Let's get this done in 3 months or
They
less.
threw that junk together.
and it, I'm like, damn, wow, that's crazy, man.
Mm. Yeah, they probably filmed for 3 months and then worked on like production and distribution the rest of the time.
Pretty much.
I'll give them max. They probably worked on it like 4 months, 5 months. But that's funny.
Damn, even the original movie had like mixed reviews.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I
yeah,
heard nothing about that. Oh,
yeah,
it's a remake.
yeah. It's a remake. I guess
Mm.
yeah. I said earlier there was a remake of like so the
Oh, the
first
1974 film.
yeah they had another remake back in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
I said the 2006 one had the same like main villain, except they also brought in his daughter slash sister,
Mm.
daughter slash
Did you see the
sister.
1974 or the
No, I
2006
didn't
one?
know that they was like a 1974 and 2006 versions until like I came
I guess
home
look it up.
and my little sister told me like, yeah, yeah, and did you know there was a 1974 movie? I'm like, wow, okay, no, I didn't.
She really liked that movie, huh?
Yeah, both my little sisters liked the movie.
Yeah, I can understand why. As impressionable young ladies.
Yeah. Then like how the youngest one was trying to tell me I didn't like it because one of the people in the back said they didn't like it. I'm like, wait, you think I'm a follower? I don't even know that man. At least accuse me of it because of someone I know, not some random ass high schooler who decided to be loud and clowning the entire movie. Hey, come
Said
on
I
now.
don't like it. Well, I don't like it. That reporter, the Kendrick Lamar stuff.
Oh yeah. It was okay. Kendrick Lamar ain't that great.
Mm-mm-mm. All right, that sounds like a pretty decent experience.
Yeah, it's
That
pretty.
reminds me.
Yeah.
Um, so in 6 days, there's a special event happening, and we still haven't decided which theater we're going to. The people down, the niggas down in Atlanta, we still haven't pre-bought our tickets yet.
Oh, for the movies,
Yes, sir. For
Rise of Skywalker,
the lies of Lie Walker.
the Lies of Lightwalker. Yeah, let's get it.
No, I'm kidding. I'll give the movie a fair shake because I'm
Uh,
quite certain I'll enjoy it regardless the first time viewing it. But I'll give them 10 minutes, and then on the 11th minute after seeing it, it's time to crack down on them.
I'll give it a fair shot too, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna have more fun on like the lightsaber fights than
Oh
anything
yeah,
else.
I hope they're good. I hope they're good because they better not be having any more missing, like throwing people off the head. Like we're not throwing like people missing their heads and whatnot on purpose. People swinging, dropping their weapons during the middle of the fight. I don't want to see any of that. I want to see pure quality choreographed fight.
I
Exactly.
agree.
Hey, everybody, my boy
And
Kenny.
Professor Kenny himself.
Sorry for being late. We'll have to deal with some other stuff.
Third
But
lecture on the field.
we here. I'm done. We here.
Hey, you ain't missed too much. I was just giving my review of a movie I saw earlier with my mom and little sister.
Which movie?
Black Christmas.
What's it about?
I,
Sorry. You already went through this. Never
I
mind.
know that's not no no.
I'll just rewatch it. I'll just rewatch it. Never
Okay,
mind.
okay. But I will let you know the score, my final score though. At the very least, it was a 6.5.
All right.
All
That's
right.
not too bad.
Yeah.
Slightly above average, but not too special.
Yeah. Pretty much. As,
Mm-mm-mm.
my boy Keem has gotten his tickets for Rise of Skywalker.
No. We haven't. I was saying
Oh,
that
you
we got to
haven't.
pick a theater.
All
Yeah,
right,
I
you
was
gotta
just
pick up
telling.
theater. All right,
Yeah,
right, right. My
Kenny, we
bad,
got to
my
pick
bad.
a theater and get our tickets.
You should probably talk about that today.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Do you guys at least have a
We could
list in
probably do that
mind?
after the podcast.
Uh, yeah.
You want to talk about it after the podcast?
Yeah. I got you.
All
Right.
right. So now that we got that out of the way. Hola, my English. I need to work on like actually sound like I'm moving my lips when pronouncing
Mm.
words.
Buenos
Let's
Aires.
go.
No está bien.
Anyway, let's move on to one of the main topics that I put in, which is just comedy. I just feel like talking about comedy first, just to see how y'all been feeling about its current state. Generally,
What do you mean?
eh,
In a movie standpoint, or like as the stand up, like
mostly in
or
the
on
stand
shows?
up, and like mostly in the stand up, but like shows and movies are fine too. But just
Mm.
comedy in general, because uh, right now it's 2019. More people are coming out being like, yeah, you know what, that's not cool. Uh, like those offensive type jokes, people aren't down with that no
Oh, the
more.
canceled shit.
Yeah, the cancel shit. Just people just
Mhm.
deciding, you know what,
I'll,
I don't
I'll
fuck with
say
this no more.
it like this. Um, Depending on the comedian, because I mean with movies you can never really tell because there's so many writers or whatever. But in terms of stand up,
Yeah,
you can kind of tell what the person's morals are
yeah,
by like how they are just like in regular life, like when how they present themselves. Um, so for example, if Kevin Hart makes a gay joke while it's being one of like Ellen's actual famous friends, like they're actually friends in real life,
yeah.
uh, should he be canceled for that?
I
Probably
mean,
not.
probably not unless like there's an actual problem with it from like Ellen herself or some
Exactly.
other like his actual gay friends that know
Yeah.
him.
And also like the context of the joke, right? Because like for example, Dave Chappelle, like even though like he makes those jokes about transgender people and whatnot, and they can be seen as offensive. He never forgets to put himself in the middle of the joke and make poke fun of himself because like the way that he like, even like for example if he portrays him a certain way, like he'll make fun of himself for doing that and being like, yeah, I just don't understand them and I wish I could type stuff. But my thing is like that context is never taken. Niggas just get pissed off and don't want to hear shit else. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell people at that point. Like comedy is not gonna change it per se in terms of like people are gonna try to step around stones just because like the whole point of comedy is to point out like the stupid parts of ourselves that like the insecurities of the society, our society at that time and age. For so right now it's just transgender shit, right? It used to be gay shit. It used to be fucking terrorist shit, and you can see that through the ages when you watch like certain stand-ups from certain time frames. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, um,
To add to that,
Yeah.
I feel like
Uh huh.
as opposed to people stopping depending on the super offensive jokes for content, or not even super offensive, but minorly offensive and beyond jokes for content, instead of stop depending on it, I think they should double down on it. Like the people that are already doing that and a lot more comedians, I think the right response is to double down on that. Because if you double down on it, regardless of the fact that people are trying to cancel you up, it may get to the point where people see how silly they're being by trying to cancel somebody's opinion or jokes based on such a light topic in a light manner. Not a light topic, but in a light manner. It's not meant to be taken literally. It's meant to be funny, something that can, ease the pressure of the realities of the situation itself. So I feel like
Exactly.
it's
Also,
healthy thing to
we're,
double
we're
down on
talking
it.
about we're talking about professional like people who have like a name out there in the comedy world. New people don't do this shit at all. You're basically gonna like dig a hole for you. I'm just being
Canceled
real.
off rip.
Yeah, they have a foundation to stand on in terms of that. But if you knew, I don't know. That's not a risk. I think is worth taking.
I feel like that could be a good way to gain traction to get canceled because there's a lot of buzz around people getting canceled, so it's a good way to get your name out there
True, but
if you get canceled off rip.
you
No.
only get buzz when you have a name for yourself
No,
already.
I mean like if you're getting
Someone like
no,
a
I'm saying
random
that's
dude
how
getting
you can
canceled.
gain. I'm saying that's how you can gain a name for yourself is to be another one of the people that are outwardly outspoken against this cancel culture and are going to put out whatever kind of content they want, regardless of how offended people get.
True.
Mm.
Because I know a lot of people that would respect that, myself included.
That's a fair point. But and like you guys said, I feel like that really depends on the comedian. Some can do it well, like Dave Chappelle. Others, I doubt they can do it as well as him.
Yeah,
And in
Louis
terms of
C.K.
works a lot better.
and in
Yeah,
terms of
you
what
can't
you,
cancel Dave Chappelle. Like if you have that much clout, there's nothing you can do.
that's
You're
true.
not stopping that man.
That's true. This is his legacy, basically.
Hmm.
Like from from when he first started to the Chappelle show to now. Like,
Yeah, he made clout based on like
make.
offensive jokes
Mhm.
and real life jokes. Because real life is gritty. Real life is dirty. It's opinionated, and
Mm-hmm.
people who really represent that in their comedy deserve to be recognized.
Right.
Fair.
But
But
in
I'll say this:
yeah.
nowadays, people who take the safe approach are gaining more traction. So it's fair to say that that is also a way they can do things. Not to say
Yeah.
That's
that.
a good point. But
Not to say that like yeah no yeah you just do every offensive joke you possibly can. Like no, like of course do it in moderation.
right.
And like if you feel like the topic is spoke upon too much, just don't even do it. Try to do something new that no one talks about. So like get some views for yourself. So
Mhm.
that's just
So
my
so
thoughts.
can I ask some questions then? Because I want to know some of the people that are doing like PC jokes and gaining traction. Because a lot of the times when I watch these comedians, I'll look at like the really PC comedians and I'll immediately lose interest after a couple minutes.
Kevin Hart,
Huh? You think you consider Kevin Hart PC?
of course.
I haven't watched Kevin Hart in a
He didn't
long
even really
time.
make a gay joke. He just made Twitter. It was on his old Twitter
Huh.
way back in the day, like over 10 years.
I guess I never really considered him PC.
He is.
Okay, well then,
If you notice, he doesn't ever make anything
like
offensive.
hyper offensive, yeah. Not like
Not
hyper.
even not even hyper offensive. Like just offensive in general.
Yeah, like they're mostly stories about his life, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
That's a that's a
I
way
guess
that he's been.
he's a special case. Like him and other comedians that are making stories about their lives.
Gabriel Iglesias is one too.
Yeah, maybe those guys too.
I
But
never forget one of
I
his
mean to
jokes.
say, people that like some comedians that make political commentary, but
I don't
are
think you
afraid to
can
be
make a
offensive.
political. I don't think you can make any political commentary without being offensive to someone else. That's just not a thing that I can
Yeah.
do.
And there's some people that try.
Niggas will always catch feels about anything and everything concerning politics. It's kind of funny.
Mm.
We're a very political country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He said,
I
"What'd you say
will.
about him, mama?"
What'd you
You
say
say something good
about?
about him, mama? What'd you say about him, mama? I was like, wow. So he was good. He was trash. Blah blah blah. Then you get to hear all this, and then you say something bad about him. What do you mean? He was one of the best we ever had. Like, you know what I mean? So like, you're gonna catch it from either side.
True, true,
So
true. Uh, but in response to what you said about like to what Hakeem said about people, I guess doubling down and making a name for themselves from like being canceled. That's a double-edged sword, though. That's
For
something you
sure.
should keep in mind, because some people do it at first to start, but they don't want it to be stuck as a label on them, and sometimes it gets stuck as your label. That can like trap you forever.
That's a good point.
And if
what
you don't,
the offensive?
yeah, like
I
being
mean, yeah,
offensive
you
on
could end up like
purpose.
Tosh Point oh.
Yeah.
If you're not
Forced to
offensive,
never make
He
anything that's
can't
not
pivot.
offensive. Like he's literally forced himself into that square. So I'm just
Yeah.
like,
It's not TFT. He can't pivot.
yeah,
He's locked in.
yeah. You gotta commit.
gotta
Mhm.
commit to your to the
But he
monster you
does it
create.
well, so I mean, credit to him when he doesn't when he finds new things to talk about as well that don't make it very dry and repetitive.
Except for that one cartoon that he made with them park rangers and that talking bear. I
Oh,
seen that one episode that I knew like, yo, this shit is kind of,
Huckleberry something or
yeah,
Duckleberry Finn or
Huckleberry Bear or
Huckleberry Farm.
something that has Huckleberry in it or
Yeah, that's
whatever.
it's like
Dingleberry.
That shit kind of was kind of trash.
The show, I think it was with the black dude who like to smash old women. That shit. It was like an
Yeah,
animated show. I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah. Let me look it up real quick on my phone. You know what? I have this
Let me see.
fucking display capturing my damn PC.
Brickleberry, that's what it's called.
Rickleberry?
Burkleberry, yeah,
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
there.
The black dude really liked to smash old women. I was like, what kind of cool?
Uh,
I was like, I know you like to put quirks and characters in like comedy shows, but like, what kind of quirk is that? Like,
I mean, it's a quirk people have.
mm,
let's see.
It's definitely a quirk people have. Like people,
I don't know if I want to see that though. But all right. Hey, yeah, I'm not a showrunner,
that's
so
like
maybe I
Tosh
could be
Point oh
wrong.
level. That's Tosh Point oh level stuff right there. If you're not ready, you're not ready. I'm not really that much of a fan of Tosh Point oh stuff either. It's kind of a little bit excessive at a point. It's a nice garnish every now and then, but I can't consistently watch them.
Hmm. Yeah, that's.
Brickleberry.
But yeah, you know what? That reminds me of one question. How do you guys feel personally about these? I mean, I guess you already kind of answered this already, Hakeem. But how do you guys feel about
Mhm.
people who like are able to do comedy well without being offensive?
Like, what do you mean? Like, how do we feel about that?
Like, because you know a lot of arguments like people make about the comedians who complain about like oh in this day and age I can't do offensive jokes anymore. It's these certain jokes because people say it's offensive and stuff, and
Mhm.
some people like to use examples of people who are able to be really funny without doing that specific kind of like jokes. And I just
I
want to know how
mean,
you guys
it's
feel about that.
possible,
Uh,
right? But
Yeah,
like, you gotta look at like the climate of like how comedy works in certain like forms. For example, black comedy. Black
yeah,
comedy is always like will always be talking about the duality of the black and white shit, right?
yeah,
Like
not
it's like, oh, black
always.
people do this and white people do this, and I know, but it's
You're saying
usually
like
that
in
that
general.
yeah, like it's usually that way. It's not even like negative in either way. Sometimes they talk about black people, bad things black people do, and good things white people do, and then sometimes vice versa. But it's usually in that area,
That's a
right?
fair.
You never really have to delve. They never really have to delve outside of that. You know what I mean? Like you
right,
always keep you can stay in that lane for a pretty long time. It's the same with white people. White people talk about daily life and the stupid stuff that that as a human beings that we all do, like type stuff. Like
Mhm.
think that somebody's like, for example, like they'll make a joke about thinking that something's hilarious while you're watching something alone, but you're not even laughing out loud. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like they'll make jokes on like the not mediocrity, but the just
The
like daily life.
mundaneness.
Yeah, the mundaneness of daily life,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll put a spin on that and make fun of that, right? So like these comedians want to talk about current events, and when you're a comedian, you like to make fun of like that being yourself and everything around you. Therefore, if you want to make jokes about current events, eventually you're gonna reach the point where you're gonna start offending niggas because like that's what's truly happening, right?
Yeah.
Because like you can't really talk about transsexual stuff. You can't really talk about like school shootings like that. You can't really talk about gun laws. Like people start to catch feelings, but those are current events and they're like they're happening right now. It's like it's incredibly loud. So like so it's just like when you're that kind of comedian who uses the world's changes around them like that. Like you're not too far into the I'll work with the duality of life, and you're not too far in the mundaneness of life. You're in the point of like, all right, how are we changing as human beings in this current time and age, and how can I make fun of that and spin it in a way that pokes fun of ourselves for being so ridiculous? Like that's the issue. Like you got to be able to walk a certain line, or just have like god tier skill to be able to like dodge not offending people. Because like when you talk about that, there's gonna be a point in time where you say something that'll offend somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, and they won't even like, and it wouldn't even matter if you've gone through it more than them, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like I remember Dave Chappelle talking about like how he made an Asian joke and then some lady got pissed off, not knowing that this nigga has been married to an Asian for the longest time type shit.
Yeah.
So it's just like it was just like yes, I would totally like discredit my own wife, lol. Like you know what I mean? So I don't know. Like at that point, like it's basically just like the type of content you're usually talking about, and your willingness on how far and deep to go with that. I'll say is so like people who don't talk about it. Not I don't really want to call them PC as if they're trying to avoid it. It's just that that's not like what they want to talk about really.
Mm. Well,
You
my
know what I mean?
definition. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I didn't mean that as in. Okay, I'll say my definition of the type of PC is like saying things that would attempt to please
Oh, the
everybody.
people. Okay, okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Uh, ooh. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say that they're because I mean, like some. I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I have like an entire grip on like who's capable of that type stuff.
Mm.
But that's just. I don't think I'm equipped to answer that question if that makes any sense.
One thing I want to touch on about some of those comedians, I don't really remember their names, but I was scrolling through Netflix and I was just looking for them, and then I was starting to lose interest, not because they like were talking about things I didn't like, but it was
They
just
were boring
because they were trying. You said what?
because they were boring.
Yeah, because they were boring and because they were trying to tiptoe and try to please, like say something that would please everybody. It just came off like the delivery just ended up being off and kind of drug out and just overall boring.
I see what you're saying. Like I mean, I feel like there's a rule with comedians that they have is to never feel sorry about what you say on that stage,
Mm.
and not many people would tend to follow that.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's true.
They're too
Because
scared to. Because I mean, like, if we're being honest, not too many people are Dave Chappelle, and when I say that, I don't mean like, like however offensive people could take that, but like in the sense that like he's able to dodge those situations very easily, but
a lot by inserting himself, like you were saying earlier.
yeah, he's able to dodge those situations easily because he's very he tells the truth about, but he doesn't. It's not like he tells the truth, right? he basically is just like he makes fun of everyone. Everyone's under the firing range. So like, what are you really gonna say? Like, oh, we're everyone else is getting special treatment. I hate how you're making jokes about us. Like, no, I'm making jokes about everyone. You're just included. Like, like
Right.
some other people can do that either
Mm,
because they're too rough with their joke. Because like, I will say like, I'm not gonna say that every comedian should can make any kind of joke. Like some jokes are truly, not in good taste. Yeah, like, you can kind of tell. Like you're just like, oh, okay, you're dragging this joke out. And they're like, yeah, man, so stupid. Like you keep going. Like you're just like, all right, so
right.
this is just a tirade at this point. But
Going into more of a rant than a joke.
yeah, it could go into that. Like so, it's just like uh there's a line, right?
Mm,
It's not that thin, but it's not super thick either. There are people who can walk that line, and then people who would rather just not even be on their line. So for people who do walk that line, as long as they keep within, I think they're straight. But there are people who, be, you know, trying to break dance on that bitch, and you're just like, hold up. You're like, hold up, that's. But I mean, you just gotta feel it out, right? And also, if you're let's say like if you're like transsexual or whatever the case may be, or if like you're part of like some minority group that you place yourself in, considering minority groups in and of itself are something that you mentally put yourself in, right? You don't really have to like rep
or
that
other people do.
to the grave. I was like, sure, I'm black, but am I gonna be like? I was like, oh my god, they did this and this, they said this and this about black people. I'm not gonna like emotionally tie myself to a situation that doesn't directly involve me a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Like unless
Right.
it's like legitimately just like an incredibly dumb situation of like, okay, so like this is clearly like a racial thing or like whatever the case may be. So I'm just
Mm,
like, if anyone's part of those minority groups though, let me go back. If anyone's part of those minority groups though, just know that the fact that people are talking about you in their jokes, especially people who are very political with their content, just goes to show that like I know it probably seems like the opposite, but like your relevance is becoming extremely strong and you're on the right path to, gaining rights or whatever the case.
mm-hmm.
Considering like if they just didn't talk about you guys at all, like, it'd be pretty easy to just, act as if you didn't exist or whatever, but they're like bringing you up purely to keep you on people's minds type stuff.
Right.
That's how I see it.
All right. Well said.
Yeah, you basically covered the bases there.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a good way to transition to our next topic, and I feel like it's pretty much related to what we already set up about comedy, but this is
Mm,
now more about subjectivity now.
mm,
And I guess we already kind of set up how we feel about like how let's see what was the point. Yeah, how how the public views subjectivity, and that I feel like people forget that we still live in a very subjective society,
right.
and like
Mm.
maybe
And
sometimes
because
they
everybody's
forget
trying
that.
to enforce their way of life onto somebody else.
Like I mean, like let's say like nothing is infallible, meaning there's no perfect way of living. There's no perfect anything, right? We can only compromise and get to as equal as we can, and that's what we should be striving for. But people are just trying to push this a whole narrative of like, no, there's only one way this junk shall go, and it shall go this way. And I'm just like, but what about this? And what about this? And sometimes you get answers, sometimes you just get people who cannot maturely take confrontation or because I mean, if you
Mm-hmm.
notice, the moment you challenge someone's opinion, regardless of how strong it is, the moment you challenge someone's opinion, um, if you have facts, that completely like prove that like they're either not that they're tripping, but that they might not be correct or 100% correct. Um, you can see them completely, almost completely like shut down if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like they
Right.
can't take the fact that they can possibly be wrong. And I'm just like, we have to be open to being wrong, and that's why compromising is a thing. You know what I mean? Like it's like, what do we need here? Well, we want rights. I'm like, all right, that's amazing. It's like, but you cannot force people to do like anything. Not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous, but it's just like to memorize brand new pronouns, especially when they're old. Like they can't. Like I don't know an older person who's willing to learn a language, right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna relearn their own language for nobody because they don't care that much. Like if really, like honestly, I'm really convinced that 90% of people don't even hate transgenders. They just don't want to put the energy into literally calling people the right pronouns because like he and she are so easy that it's just like, why are we doing this extra stuff? Like I don't even care about you as a person like that. No offense, like you're not a close person to me. So I mean, I don't know. It's weird. People are weird. Like I get like people have their own vision of like a perfect world, but at the same time, we have to understand that like we're all people living on like this ball, and we all different. So everyone has their different definition of perfect, but we've never no like funny enough, no one's ever seen perfect. So are we truly trying to make a perfect world? So I
We
don't know.
we can't because perfection isn't really like an actual objective thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm just
Like
like, what do you
perfection
know? How do you know it's perfect?
perfection is too like abstract. If we were
Right,
to live in a if we were to live in one of those like fantasy settings where like the gods were are like a little bit more obvious about their existence or sometimes actually pull up on niggas and let them know like hey what's good,
right.
then maybe we'd have a more objective idea about about perfect world, but that's not the reality we live in. And really,
Hmm.
and I guess that's like I guess I feel a lot about how you feel about like the different way of living because a lot of people want unity, but sometimes some
Unity
people
is not always the best thing in
sometimes
life.
it like and then when I say unity, it feels sometimes it may feel like more like they want uniformity and not
Right,
really
right,
unity
right,
and
right.
not really
Yeah, because
unity.
unity and uniformity are two completely different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can be united because we agree on this one thing and have this one thing that can bring us together. But uniformity is like we are the same, and
Hmm.
a lot of
right.
people not
We
that they're
aren't the
trying
same.
to, not that they're trying to make it that way, but a lot of them end up sounding like that and actually want that more than they realize,
Right.
possibly.
Yeah, I feel you.
But yeah, we as a human species, even though we're the same genetically, we just ended up as like completely different like groups because that was just
Right,
what we're destined to
Hmm.
become. And
Yeah, I
right.
aside
feel
and
like a
aside
lot of
from
people.
like
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, that's fine. And
Go ahead.
moving away from that,
Oh, you were about to move away from it? Oh, wow.
no,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna move away
It's like
from
two of
that.
them.
I mean, I wasn't gonna really move away from that. I'm moving away from like just not just ways of living, but the way we just see certain like the smaller things too. Like
Right.
Hmm.
this is how like for example, I guess going back to like comedy. This is what I find funny,
Mm.
Hmm.
but you also find this funny, but you don't like the way that fact I find this funny because it's like offensive to you in any way. But I don't feel that way, you know, and that's just like something that can't be helped. Or like
Right.
sometimes, and you know, I guess in the gaming sense, and I'm just gonna throw in games because we are streaming on Twitch and it's only fair.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I feel like it's also when it comes to gaming, I feel like it's also very important for me because I feel like since all I see is games all the time, it
Right.
feels a lot more obvious. I guess the biggest example is Death Stranding. Like it
Right.
got a lot of mixed reviews. I'm pretty sure it's not a bad game because it was made bad, but a lot of people just don't like it because of the decisions that Kojima decided to go for. And people can't really agree on that. I mean, it's not like the worst example to give on it. Like
Right.
there's games that are more egregious about it, but.
Mhm.
I'll just say that.
So I'll add to add to that,
Okay.
like a lot of
Yeah.
one thing or a couple of things that a lot of people seem to forget is that you can never control how some, and this is like specifically targeted at people who like to complain a lot about specific people not catering to their agendas, like with people not calling transgender people like Z and Zay and things like that.
Yes. Yes.
It's like you can't control how another person is going to treat you, but the only thing that you can control is your reaction to them. So are you gonna
Correct.
like get upset, bitch and moan and yell and scream and all that, or are you just gonna be like, you know what? If this person decides they're not gonna respect me, or like what I'm asking them to do, then what are you gonna do about it? What are you prepared to do about it?
Right. And I'll also say what I meant like whenever like calling people like with those specific. I'm talking about like complete strangers. If you know that
Hmm.
person and you let them know and they still doing that junk, they not your friend. I'm just being
Yeah, they
real.
really not. They're not messing with you. So yeah, and also like the like there's so many different types of people that wake up every day. Like something like I guarantee you, each of us, just the three of us, we start our days completely different ways.
Of course.
Like it's from the moment we open our eyes, and the only thing that binds us is that we all wake up every day until the day that we don't. But there's
True.
gonna come a day that we just don't.
Right. I mean,
So
like,
whatever you're doing, like from today until that day, is completely up to you, and I have no control over that.
I mean, I understand. I don't know what goes through people's minds when they get offended about comedy like that. Just because, like, it's truly not as dramatic as um it really is. It'd be different if
It's
like
not.
they made a like let's say they made a small joke about black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people laughed at the
Those
joke,
niggers.
but then like, but like it's like, but then people after the joke got popularized, like he'd go out, eat like outside stand up setting, and
Mm-hmm.
I repeat the joke constantly, like and as if you should believe it as fact or whatever. That's completely wholesome to be getting pissed off about because it's just like, bro, I thought this was a joke. Why do you keep bringing this up in a non-joke setting? This is not correct. Like you should not be doing that. Like that at that
Mm-hmm.
point, I'm like, oh yeah, cancel culture.
He
Get
starts
him. Like
giving a seminar.
yeah, right, right. I was like, get him. It's different between that and then like at the stand up making the joke, especially if it's like brushed over, and then like, yeah, oh no, 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 no. Remember those 22 seconds where you said this, this, and this? Say sorry. Say sorry. He's hey,
Honestly, like
like,
I
are
don't
we
care what's.
children?
Honestly,
Uh,
it doesn't matter to me what somebody says or not about their beliefs. Like if I'm listening to them and they start going on a rant about, oh, this is why, da 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 da, this is why transgender people, da 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 da. If I'm not trying to hear all that, I just won't go to their show again.
yeah,
That's honestly how I feel.
really,
They can
the
say
only thing
whatever they want, but if I'm not fucking with it, I'm just not gonna fuck with it.
I'll say this right now. Like, I was like, I'm not even transgender, but someone's literally trying to like dehumanize them, make them seem like subhumans or some
Right?
shit.
They
I'm
got
not
no
watching that
conscience.
joke no more. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's definitely not true. So I was
like
just
it's
like,
not.
I mean, it's just like a lot more people would leave at offensive stuff than you would think. I feel so.
Some people just want to bitch.
Yeah,
A lot of people actually.
yeah.
Vocal people just want to bitch about it, but in reality, you have the most control over the situation that anybody does. You could
I'm just
literally
saying,
just leave.
bro. I'm just saying, cancel culture should be prepared for bigger things. Is all I'm saying. Leave comedy alone.
Yeah. Like,
We
why
try
are
to
you
find the,
canceling
we,
people
bro.
when you could
I'm just saying,
just
look.
you could spend your time doing better and more fulfilling things?
Well, no, I mean you can cancel people. Just cancel the right people. If I'm being honest, like
Like
what I'm
who?
saying, let's
Okay,
let's
so
say
who
there's
would
like
be
some
a correct cancel
white
candidate?
supremacists, white supremacists. That's number one. The fact that how are you majority in the country? You're like, I feel like a minority. How we can't beat your numbers? It's like you guys are good. God damn, like what is your problem?
Like if
I
people
don't know.
are
I find white
committing
supremacists funny.
people are committing hate crimes,
Yeah.
then it's necessary to cancel them. But
Or
a
you
lot
know,
of the
like,
things, a lot of the things nowadays, like people resisting calling somebody a particular pronoun or people
or
coming out
I'll
and
say this:
saying,
if it's
um,
like, unless it's like a domestic violence situation, when people like talk about each other's relationships, like famous people's relationships, can we cancel that, please? I'm sick and tired
I
of
mean,
learning about someone, like for example, like someone, some famous people like that got cheated on or whatever. Why
mhm.
does that matter to the fans? Like, how can you judge? You don't know their situation.
I mean, that's just niggas trying to get a buck off of people liking gossip. Like
Oh
there's,
well, yeah.
that's
Oh
all
yeah,
that
that's
is.
not
That's
cap.
just
Yeah,
niggas
you're right.
just
You're right. Right. Yeah. I rescind the statement though.
like it's mainly cap anyways. Like
Oh, I'm
a
getting
lot
sick
of
and
stuff they be
tired.
saying is cap and stretching the truth anyways, just for a buck. So
I'm just saying though. Like, I was like, can we not give into that anymore, please? Also, oh, it's the cancel culture in gaming is very stupid.
in gaming,
They're the one. They're the
what do you
only
mean, like
culture I
EA,
feel like is doing it wrong. No, gamers in general.
like with
They're the only people who are
Wargamers,
doing it
or
wrong.
what do you
No,
mean by
just the
that?
canceling, trying to cancel things. They don't do it correctly.
What do
I
you mean?
feel. For example, let's say let's say there's something like completely harmless, like a free to play game
Mm-hmm.
has DLC, right?
Okay,
It's a free to play game,
Yeah.
and they're charging a $12 fee for their added
for
DLC.
an extension of that game.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who will be like, "Oh no, I hate DLC. I hate microtransactions. Blah 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 blah." Mind you, that's a pay for servers. That's a pay to update the game. How else do you
Mm-hmm.
think they're doing it? They can't do it for free. They have lives.
Yeah.
Therefore, they need to get paid in order to like, in order to like do it properly without literally putting their lives and family in jeopardy. So I'm just like, I don't understand that. And then like a game will come out barely animated, barely voice, no voice acting, no content whatsoever, really. And
Yeah.
people will pay a full price on that junk talking about some, oh, they're going to add all that stuff in DLC, though. I'm just like, or the second game.
Like
Like, then
nigga,
why
huh?
did you buy this game then? And then they're trying to justify it. Like, I'm just like, I don't understand how gaming culture works. Like, how many gophers are there? Like, really?
A
Because I
lot of
mean, like,
the one thing I think about the gaming community is like there's a lot of backlash with people saying, "Oh, we're a bunch of man babies," or that just like to complain about shit. And
right,
to a certain extent, the loudest people typically do fall into those categories.
right,
And it's not without reason because a lot of the gaming community are young, like
right,
pubescent teenagers, people that are our age, like their early 20s, like people that are really young, and
right,
just they don't really have a base level of like ways to communicate desire and things like that, and so it ends up as a bunch of jumbled miscommunications about what the community really wants because some people just want to complain. Some people want things to be better, but don't know how to go about it or don't offer any suggestions. Some people know fully what they want to be better and how to do it, and props to them for like getting that information out there. But
right.
because of all the different ideologies and the majority of them being, you know, mal-informed, it tends to it tends to slow down the process of getting things to change within the community for the better.
Oh, like I mean, I just feel like there's a like disparity on like what should be the standard. Because if I'm being honest, the
Mm-hmm.
stuff EA was doing was entirely avoidable at some point, considering it was like a
You
main
mean like
controversy.
making games entirely based off of microtransactions?
Right, right. Because I mean,
It's
like the
extremely
first time
predatory.
because I mean, like when they started doing that with 2K, there was like a talk about it, but like the 2K zombies that still
Mm-hmm.
buy the game every year and said that there's nothing wrong with it, allowed that to happen, and that's why you need 5 trillion VC to level up to like a 62
That's
point player. Like I was just like, like the stats you need to become a good player is mind boggling. You need like over
Yeah.
a million VC
mm.
to get to like 75. I'm just like, bro,
I
Yeah,
how I
no,
can
that and the
I had
stuff
to
within
stop playing that
Battlefield.
game.
Or
That
sorry,
too.
that and the stuff within Battlefront is complete extortion. Like when progression is based on monetary value, that's extortion of the gaming base because they don't
It
log
is.
on to a game to pay for shit. They log on to the game to play the
Well,
game.
no, the funny thing is, oh, you can earn it like regularly. I'm like, bro, do you understand how many hours you have to put in to be able to do that? Like, you would basically have to play not like you basically had to like not even like because it works for a lot of 2K gamers. Like, not admittedly, it's not like they're not gamers, but they mainly play 2K, so it
Hmm.
makes sense for anybody who like plays other games. You are not gonna do this just purely because,
It's a
uh,
huge time consumption for little
yes,
payout.
right. Like
Yeah.
you play other games, you're not gonna be able to do this 24/7 type stuff, and like I don't know. I feel like that should have got canceled way before it got to the point where it got. But I don't know. I guess I'm tripping. I wasn't old enough to have a vote back then. Now that I am, I'm like, wow, we really let this happen, huh? Crazy.
I mean, that's the
Yeah,
start of
EA
life,
turned into a
and I
monster.
guess I can't you can't be too surprised about like 2K20, 2K niggas. Like, let's be honest here. How many of them are like super like big ass gamers? I mean,
That is true.
I shouldn't throw them under the bus like that, saying like they're not
That
in the
doesn't. Well,
shits,
that's
but
yeah. That's not really like. Well, if I think about like the community as a whole, it's one of the most divided communities of any multimedia platform
Gamers,
or
gamers.
like platform in general. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
yeah, because like there's so many different subgenres and types of genres. It's
And there are
it
people like us who like
There's
delve within
hardcore.
each and every genre. We play a little bit of everything. We're not
Oh
like
yeah.
opposed to everything. And there's some people who want to be completely niche. They only play this type of game, or they only play that kind of game, and they're right for that. They're not. I mean, they shouldn't have to feel like they shouldn't have to do that. But at the same time, I
Hmm.
feel like the value of a game gets caught up in all that.
Hmm.
Just because this is, I think you're gonna get banned off of what I'm about to say, Mark. But I'm sorry. But like, for example,
Cancel.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. I feel like every time AD's here, I bring this up. I'm sorry, AD. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying in general. But like for example, like the whole Pokemon thing.
Pokemon. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not like I really hate the fact that AD popped in here right now. I do not want to make it seem like every time he's here, I'm always doing this to him. But but I just like the price point, right? Because I mean, look at other games this year that came out at 60. They're beautiful games, right? Even back in the 2017, 16, 15, right? There are beautiful games that have come out for $60. Games that are literally works of art and have won awards and whatnot for their direction, animations, just everything, gameplay, all of it, right? And then Pokemon comes here, with the $60 price point, which doesn't have anything to contest any of those games. Purely off
Hmm.
of nostalgia alone, that's all it has. And then, you have people on Twitter at the Game Awards, oh, why did they win though? I'm just like, because y'all bought that shitty ass game. Just because y'all bought it don't mean it's
Wait, did
good.
Pokemon win any awards at the Game
Hell
Awards?
no.
Nah.
Okay, I was about to say good.
And
I just
people
want
were
to say something
complaining
about the
about it.
Game
I'm just
Awards
like,
though.
oh, what's up?
Sorry, everybody that got an award at the Game Awards.
Congrats.
Shout out to them. Yeah, shout out to them for getting second place to Fallen Order, who wasn't.
I'm a
Uh,
data. I hate you.
they actually elected not to be on the nomination list. So to everybody who won, shout out, but you're still second.
I hate you.
Wow.
The ultimate flex.
Okay,
Flex man
sorry,
key.
I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
No, no. But to my point, it's just like I feel like if we were a lot harsher when it came to the prices of games, a lot more quality would be put out instead of edible BS,
Hmm.
and there'd be a lot less, predatory attacks on our wallets when it came to video games. You know what I mean?
For sure. Because the
Because I
main
mean,
reason why they keep making these games is because niggas keep buying them, so they think it's profitable.
yeah.
So,
And then like, the funny thing is the greatest thing that came out of this is that indie games The games that like self developers usually put out for a little cheaper than 60, unless
Oh
they like
yeah,
worked on it for like three
on
thousand
Steam.
years. Like yeah, like indie games are getting a lot of, and bigger smaller companies are getting a lot of attention nowadays, just
That's
because
very true. Yeah,
because people don't count on AAA people anymore like that because
Triple
they
A's
always
just
want to
trash right now.
they always they always want to like, hey, what you got in your wallet? And you're just like, I just want to play something fun that
Triple
reminds
A's
me of
putting out like three good games a year tops.
like I'm just out of like the 57 games.
Right.
But
Half of them are not even completed. They're not even
crazy,
full games. So.
crazy. We don't complete games out here. Crazy.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I just think that like the cancer culture, like I don't understand we were talking about comedy, but I had to like it just came up in my mind, and I feel like I was gonna forget if I didn't say anything. But
Mhm.
like cancel culture has positive effects. It's just that it's aimed at the wrong thing a lot of the time, and people with no inform like like even with comedy, like for example, like Dave Chappelle mentioning the Jussie Smollett situation.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, that was cancer culture at its worst, basically, because they're trying to,
Mhm.
do some shit to Trump,
Well,
basically saying,
that's a free
"Oh,
platform. Like
it's like,
that's a
oh,
free platform. Freedom of speech. They're trying to
right,
censor people. It's
right."
not
So
good.
they're trying to say something to Trump, like, "Oh, you're the reason why Jussie Smollett got attacked." Blah blah blah. You're dividing the country. Turns out the story was fake, but we're due to the fact that we're so quick to jump on stuff and make things justifiable and have justice. We didn't even stop to look at the facts of the actual situation.
Right.
Like some people did, and that's why they most likely didn't say. Because funny enough, I never saw anybody say like he was lying just outright. People were just like, "I'm gonna wait for the facts."
Mhm.
That's literally what we were saying. I think I
Mhm.
wasn't one of them. I was like, if it happened, that sucks. I don't
Yeah, like
know.
it looked like cat as soon as I saw it, but I wasn't sure, so I was like, I'll wait.
Yeah, so it's just like, so it's just like,
I honestly, I actually thought he got me. I'm like, cause like I wouldn't put it
yeah,
past it. I mean, I know.
yeah, no.
It's like
But
it's
at
a
the same
cat
time,
over,
like,
nigga.
yeah, like I was like, yeah, that's whenever I started to doubt it, because like at first I was like, oh man, that's terrible. Oh wow, yeah, you see the beat marks, and then like all of a sudden you start hearing more of the story, right? Like 2 a.m. going to Subway. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like what
Ain't no.
Subway is open at 2 a.m.
I was like, hold
First
up,
of all,
Like,
and
damn,
then
that
and then
subway
they
must
said
be struggling to
they
be open at
report,
2 a.m.
yeah,
and it
let
was
me
like.
Google it just to make sure I'm not capping. 24-hour Subway.
I mean, there are probably a few, but like that right there is an alarm for me. And then like the fact that they had bleach and
No
rope after they
results for
beat
these filters. Cat.
crazy.
There's no such thing as a 24-hour
Like, but and then there was and then they were talking about like the bleach and the rope thing. I was just like,
All right.
so they beat you up like with rope and bleach in their hands? Like, sir, you could have just ran. Like, what? And I was like, why would they pour bleach on you? What? And like the rope noose thing, I get because I mean they're trying to like paint the picture of lynching black people, but at the same time, I'm just like bleach.
They're trying to
It's like,
turn
what? Were
off.
they doing their laundry and they saw you grab the rope and it's just like, all right, I don't have another rope, so I'm gonna drop. Like, what? I did not understand any of that. That's why I was like,
And
I'm
yeah,
gonna wait for more facts. That's like that was a nail in the coffin for me. And then when
and
it
then
turned out he was lying, I was like, wow,
yeah,
that's that's embarrassing.
and then next thing you know, next day you hear, oh yeah, I just hired a bunch of fucking Africans to beat me up because I'm not happy with my
Yeah,
pay on Power in one of the most popular
yeah,
TV shows at this current
r-
like era.
right. I'm just
Like,
like
bro, what? You're an actor
I
on
don't understand.
Power.
I don't understand how you can basically ruin one of the a blessing that you have, like one of the very few blessings that you have.
What,
Right?
clout?
No, no, no. Like being able to act well and sing well on a show that's doing well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like regardless of how much you're getting paid, I mean, you're getting paid the amount of a celebrity, regardless of what he's trying to say. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like
When clout
how can
takes you
you
out, it's wrong.
Yeah, I'm just like, how can you take like a blessing that many people would literally kill you for? Not even trying to like make it seem like that kind of way, but like a lot of people would do anything to get to your position,
Oh, and that
and
brings. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
then you just ruin that by staging a hate crime in a time where in America that junk is a very sensitive topic as of right now.
Especially with
Therefore, you're
Trump.
literally just you've taken it down for the black people. You've taken it down for the gay people. You've literally put us a peg down because of that shit,
Yeah,
and
especially
that
during
just is not
the era
cool.
when people are feeling like really sensitive about Trump being president and shit.
Right,
Even
right.
now,
So it's just
now
like
you just make.
now, like when he was on the news, like, God, y'all thought it was me, y'all trash, and he's like, we can't say nothing to him. I was like, yeah, we trash.
That
Yeah,
brings up
For all
another
the people
thing.
who believe, it's like, yeah, we trash.
Yeah, that brings up another thing that ties into the whole juicy sommelier
the juicy
Right.
fiasco,
smoothie.
and a lot of the things that have been going along lately is the along with cancel culture. I think one of the biggest things that like drives cancel culture is like an even bigger beast, which is victim
Oh, shizzle. I don't know if we could talk about this one.
You know what? For
I
now,
don't.
let's rest on it for like next
Yeah.
Saturday. Next
Yeah, that's
Saturday.
that's that's dangerous. Yeah. Go ahead
Yeah,
though.
next Saturday. Yeah, so next
I mean,
Saturday we
that's what
can.
the Goon podcast is.
Yeah, this is a
We
big
gotta
risk.
leave it
So
at a cliffhanger. Next time
yeah,
we're
that's it.
talking about victim culture.
Yeah, maybe we can collab
Mhm.
together about how to best approach this. Even though our best approach is just saying it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
speak our mind.
Yeah. So ain't no sugarcoating this. I guess we're going in.
So yeah, that was our podcast. See y'all next time. Stay easy.
All right, Jim.